What is that project that you are the most proud of in your career? This is one question you may get in interviews. A recruiter may ask you a question like this, probably referring to a personal project you have worked on, a freelance project, or maybe a project you have worked in your previous companies that you can share. What answer should you give when a question like this comes up? Before in my journey as a software engineer, when a question like this comes up, the answer I gave wasn't very the best or the most wisest or the most strategic answer, if I can put it that way. My project may classify as my most proudest, maybe because I didn't use a CSS framework and I used vanilla CSS, or maybe because I built it in 2 hours or 3 hours, or maybe because I built it without supervision. There were a lot of things that could classify as the project I'm most proud of, but I most likely didn't communicate it in a very wise way. And that's the purpose of this video. In this video, I want you to understand that when recruiter asks questions like this, they are looking for specific information, or they are looking for how you are able to communicate what you are most proud of. So if you communicate it in a different way, it may create a wrong impression or a not very good impression. But if you're able to communicate it in another way, you'll be able to create a good impression that makes you a potential hire or employee of the company. Now, I'm not saying you should say something that isn't the way it is just to give a recruiter the answer or information they're looking for. No, you should be honest, entirely honest, but you should also be wise and strategic about how you answer questions like this. Now, like I said, recruiters can be looking for different information or how you communicate this information. So what kind of information can they be looking at? Now, I don't know everything a recruiter is looking for. I'm not a recruiter myself. I'm just going to share from my experiences. 3 things recruiters can be looking for when they ask you a question like this is: number 1, how you are able to communicate why this project classifies as something you're proud of. Number 2, how you are able to communicate what you did, the steps you took, or how you contributed to the success of the project that makes it something you're proud of. And number 3, the outcome or the result of this project, either results to the company or results to your customers. If you're able to communicate these 3 things well, you would most likely give the recruiter a good, positive, nice impression that makes them understand your value and your impact. Now, I'm going to share one example project here. It's an abstract example. It's not something you should use exactly. You can answer this in your own way, but just to give you an example of what I mean when I'm talking about these 3 points. Let's say you worked on a project in your previous company and it's something that you can publicly talk about. Now, how do you answer these 3 points? Number 1, what makes it your most proudest project? Maybe because you worked on it without supervision. Maybe because you were able to do it in a short time span. Maybe because you were able to do one thing or the other. You know best. You know why it is your most proudest project. The important thing here is communicating that to your recruiter so that they can see that it's not just your best project because you used Angular and not React, but they can see that there are specific things that makes it your best and something that you would like to do again. Number 2, what did you do in this project? Maybe you integrated a different software solution with your existing software in your company, or maybe because you were able to add certain features, maybe you were able to improve performance of the application, maybe you were able to build some nice plugins, maybe you were able to improve the retention or whatever. You see, there are different examples I'm giving here. These are just abstract examples, but you should be able to communicate that thing or those couple of things that you did or that you did with your colleagues that contributed to the success of the project, which then makes it your most proudest project. And then the 3rd point, the outcome, the results of the project after it was a success or after it was completed. Maybe it made your customers happy, maybe it made other customers want to try your product, maybe it improved the performance of the application, maybe it reduced the code size, maybe it did A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. Whatever that outcome or whatever that result is, you should also be able to communicate it that this was not just a project that you worked on and you were, it's your proudest because you did it in 2 hours, but also because it was able to serve your customers better, or it was able to improve the code you write in your company. Whatever reason it is or whatever outcome that is, you should be be able to communicate it well. Now, these are abstract examples. You can see I mentioned a bunch of things that classifies as answers to these different points, but you know better. So whenever an interview is coming up or a recruiter asks you a question like this, step back a little and think about your answer. Don't just jump straight and say because I used my favorite framework, or because the interface was really nice, because the colors were really nice, because I was able to use CSS to my fullest potential. That may be nice answers, but just step back a little and be strategic or be wise about how you communicate the answers to the recruiter, so you can leave a good impression and hopefully get that job that you applied for. If this video helped you in any way, if you learned anything at all, please share it with others. Also, like the video, I'd really appreciate that. And as well, subscribe, because I make many amazing tech videos on my channel. Peace.